So welcome everyone to this session on the Monash JD. My name is Alice and I work in the engagement team here in the Faculty of Law. So today what we want to do is we're going to run through some slides about the actual program, and then we're going to have a chat to a student about their experiences so you can hear that firsthand. So first of all, I'd like to introduce Professor Anne Minotti, who is the Director of the Monash JD. And Anne's just going to cover the slides for us. So welcome, Anne. Anne, you're on mute. Got it.
Got it. Thank you, Alice, and welcome to all our participants in this webinar. So I'm going to take you through some slides to let you know about our Monash JD and explain to you why you would want to choose Monash Law in preference to other JDs that operate in Victoria. So a number of JDs are available to you, but the reasons on this slide indicate to you really to choose Monash Law is a great choice. First of all, we're consistently ranked in the top law schools in the world. Now, this is important for a number of reasons. First of all, it is going to offer you probably better chances for employment, both in Australia and overseas, when the law school has a top ranking in the world. It gives it status and a reputation overseas, which is important. And it gives wide recognition to your degree everywhere, which is an excellent excuse me, an excellent part of our degree to offer to you. Secondly, our unique location. Now, at the moment, we are not teaching in a physical premises because of the COVID-19, but we normally teach at 555 Lonsdale Street. It's in the heart of the legal precinct. We are in a building where there are barristers' chambers, and we're surrounded by courts, Federal Court, Supreme Court, County Court, Magistrates Court. So it's ideal for you if you are wanting to be in and around others who are lawyers and practicing in the area. It's also very convenient because we're close to Flagstaff Station for public transport. Our degree offers you the opportunity for legal work placements through our clinical guarantee, and I'll talk about that shortly in another slide. Convenient study opportunities. We have great flexibility we can offer to you because we offer you the opportunity of starting in trimesters. We have 3 intakes a year. You can study your degree either full-time or part-time, and we offer an evening stream available for all of our core units. And many of our elective units, which are taken from the master's degree, are also available in the evening. The extensive choice of electives all comes from our master's program, and you have the opportunity of taking a number of those, and I'll talk to that in more detail shortly. But these electives can be taken in a single area if you have a particular passion to work in one particular area and learn more about that, or you can take them across a wide range of areas of law. And I usually recommend students do that so that they can get a breadth and then specialise later on. And finally, we offer you international study opportunities, and I'll talk about that in more detail shortly too. As I mentioned, our degree is an excellent degree, and one way in which we measure this is to look at how many of our Monash Law alumni have gone on to be huge names in their fields. And this slide gives you just some of the many successful Monash Law alumni. So reading from left to right and starting at the top corner, we have Professor the Honourable Marilyn Warren, ACQC, who is the former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Victoria. Mr. Tim Costello, AO, Chief Advocate of World Vision Australia. The Honourable Jill Hennessy, MP, who's a Victorian Minister. And then on the second list there, second rung, we have Mr. Julian Burnside, AOQC, who has had a very successful practice at the bar and is very well known for his work in the human rights advocacy area, as well as being an author. the Honourable Chief Justice Dana Bryant, AO, who was the former Justice of the Family Court of Australia, and the Honourable Peter Costello, AC, who's the former Treasurer and Deputy Leader of the Liberal Party of Australia. And then in our final tier here, we have Sarah Holloway, a younger, more recently graduated law alumni. And she's one of the new breed of our graduates who are entrepreneurs. She's a co-owner of Matcha Maiden and Matcha Milk Bar and the founder of Seize the Yay podcast. And next to her, the Honourable Bill Shorten MP, another politician, former leader of the Australian Labor Party and opposition leader. And finally, Professor Graham Samuel AC, Australian businessman and former chairman of the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission. A wonderful selection. Many more would be available to talk to you about. So just briefly, the course overview. The Monash JD comprises 24 units. Now, 16 of these are compulsory units, and they're taught early in the course. And then towards the end of your course, you can take 8 elective units. Now, they include one, what we call a commercial law constrained elective, and there's a list from which you can choose, and these all come from our master's program. And then there's one professional project constrained elective, which is specific to the JD. We have intakes, as I mentioned, 3 times a year, and they're January, May, and August. So the next intake will be August. So 3 years full-time load, and you can take 4 to 6 years with a part-time load. So a lot of flexibility is provided to you. So the clinical guarantee, which I mentioned earlier on, what is it? Well, this is something that we're very proud of. It gives you the opportunity to have a practical experience during your law degree, and this is becoming increasingly important in a competitive employment market. It can give you an edge. So it gives you the benefits that are listed here on the slide. The chance to engage in real legal work. Now that means that you actually are involved with clients and client files, and you're supervised by practicing lawyers. You have an opportunity to put your theory into practice, and you learn what we call those soft skills. They're soft skills, but they're incredibly important skills: interviewing, drafting letters, and file management. And increases your employability, as I mentioned. It gives you the opportunity to make contacts, network, and work out if that area of law is for you. Further on the clinical guarantee, we have 2 units in the JD that are part of that clinical guarantee. And these are listed on the slide. And the first one, the professional practice unit, that gives you the opportunity to work at one of our legal clinics. Now, Monash has a huge reputation for having offered students an opportunity to work in a legal clinic. Now, originally, they were Clayton and Springvale, and they have been, students have worked in those for many years. And of recent years, we've also established a clinic in Melbourne, and this is in the same building as we teach our JD, 555 Lonsdale, beg pardon. This is a wonderful opportunity, especially for our JD students who can just hop up the lift, and there they are at our Melbourne clinic. The second unit is the clinical placement unit, where you have the opportunity to work with one of our industry partners, both in Australia and overseas. And they're hosted in our clinic, our CBD clinic. And we have some opportunities here which are wonderful for our students, and they love the units. Now, on this slide, there is a quote from one student, and I'll read this to you, but I'll also mention to you that it's not just, this is something which has been decades important for our students. Michelle Mihailovich says, completing the professional practice unit at Monash Oakley Legal Service has been a highlight of my studies at Monash Law School. The practical skills I've obtained are invaluable. This type of experience can't be taught in the classroom. So it's not just we, the teachers, who are saying this. Our students say this and consistently say this. And I have found that years after completion of degrees, students will come to me and they will say what a highlight participation in one of these clinics has been for them. Now, international study opportunities, just at the moment, there's a little of a dampener on this because of COVID-19, but COVID-19 won't last forever. And let me talk to you about the opportunities that we can provide to you. The first one is that we have the opportunity to teach our law degree, or our units from our law degree, both our undergraduate and our JD, in Prato, at the Monash University Prato Centre in Tuscany, Italy. Now, this is an opportunity which is really outstanding. I have taught there twice. The Prato is a very old walled city, and it's 20 minutes away from Florence. So the students who study there, and they can study there are 3 months, we start in April and we go April, May, June. They can study there either based in Prato itself, or many of our students choose to live in Florence, and then they train it in and back from Florence to our classes, which are taught in Prato itself, in an old palazzo. So it's absolutely charming. It offers many advantages for students apart from its location. Students teach over a 4-week, each unit is offered over a 4-week period, 9 hours of teaching a week, and you have so close to many countries where you can visit. The second opportunity is Malaysia, Monash University Malaysia campus, a full university campus there in Kuala Lumpur. I have not taught there myself, but every feedback I receive from students and teachers tells me that it is a wonderful opportunity and experience for students. Now, for those really high-achieving students in the JD, there are opportunities for pathways to both Oxford and Cambridge. They are very limited. You have to be accepted into both Oxford or Cambridge, and if you are accepted to study in their degrees, then you have an opportunity to pathway through into their courses in your final year of study. And there's another pathway through to King's College, and the final one is an opportunity to have a dual JD degree, Monash Law School with the Washington College of Law in Washington, DC. At the end of completing that, provided you pass the US bar exams, then you can practice law in both the United States and in Australia. Entry requirements. I'll just read through from this slide for you, and you can find all the details on our website. The selection is a competitive process and it's based on academic merit. The first pathway or entry requirement path is that you have an undergraduate degree or equivalent with at least a grade point average of 5 on a 7-point scale, or qualification, experience or satisfactory substitute that the faculty considers to be equivalent. Now, the alternative is an undergraduate degree or equivalent, and this offers a lower GPA average, that is of 4 on a 7-point scale. And then we would ask you to complete the LSAT score and LSAT test and get a score of 150 plus. That has to be taken within 5 years prior to applying for admission. Each of those intakes offers an opportunity for a limited number of CSP places available. And
can I just jump in quickly, Anne?
Yes.
There are no CSP places for the rest of this year. Thank
you, Alice.
So we'll just skip over that part because there aren't any for 2020.
This slide shows you the important dates. So the one that you might be interested in particular is our August entry point. The applications close 17th of August 2020, welcome orientation 18th of August, and then course commencement is the 24th of August. And then the other dates for trimester 1, trimester 2, 2021 are there, and you will find these also on the website.
Okay, so And if you can hang around, because I might have some questions for you, but we have Simran with us, who I'm very grateful that you are here, because I know you've got a lot going on at the minute. You've got studies, you've just moved house, so there's a lot of life happening for you. So thanks for giving up your time to talk to these potential students. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, sure. So I guess maybe I'm a little bit different from others that may be on the Zoom, because I'm an international student from Canada. And my undergrad was in sociology, so arts background, I guess maybe similar to other people as well. And I'm in my final year, just started my first trimester a few weeks ago.
What did you study before you did the JD?
Yeah, sociology, so an arts background.
And did you do that here in Melbourne?
No, in Canada. So I've only been in Melbourne since this degree started. So two years ago, yeah, now it's been.
So you moved from Canada to Melbourne to do the JD?
Yeah.
That's a big move.
Very big. I mean,
Very
literally across continents.
So why did you pick the Monash JD?
Yeah, so for me, it was based on which cities I wanted to live in Australia. So the top of the list was Melbourne, and I wasn't really interested in doing the LSAT. So, and I know that like Monash is quite well known. So I knew that I was picking a good school, and I was, able to avoid having to do the LSAT as well.
Sure. So I didn't ask, but why did you choose to study law?
I knew you were going to ask this question.
Oh, sorry.
That's always the question everybody asks in every class.
Do you know?
I guess it's not like some big inspiring story. I guess it's more just the practical standpoint of having a law degree, and just how versatile it is. Like you can work basically in any industry after this. You're not really confined to any type of work, whether you're working privately or in the public sector. Like can go anywhere with it.
With the Monash JD, do you want to talk a bit about the structure? So you obviously have to do core units first.
Yeah.
Are you still doing your Priestley 11 subject?
Yeah. So I'm on my final 2 now. So I'm doing 2.
Oh, well done.
I know it went quickly.
Yeah.
So doing 2 cores and an elective right now. And I guess, yeah, just what Anne was saying before, like it is a trimester schedule. And I think that's probably another thing that interested me in going to Monash, is being able to do it trimester and sort of spread everything out throughout the year. Like even though the breaks are shorter, but I'd much rather spread everything out throughout the year rather than just like overload with 4 or 5 courses at one time. And yeah, but I'm doing it full time, so I'll just be finishing in 3 years.
So with the trimesters, it's not like your typical semester where you get that big break in the middle and that big break over Christmas. With the trimesters, you're pretty much studying from January through to December, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like January to, I guess, April, and then you get 2-3 weeks just to, I guess, catch up on sleep. And then again, and I guess the break in August is probably the shortest break. It's probably like 2 weeks it ends up being. And then December is pretty good. You get a whole month. And even by the end of that month, you're like, okay, I'm ready to go. Like it's been long enough. I'm bored.
Yeah, a month's a good break. That's not
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you said you're doing your couple of core units. What units are you doing?
Right now I'm doing ethics and civil. And I guess I didn't follow the plan exactly because I moved some units around depending on when I wanted to do them. And then I'm also doing an elective, which is knocking off one of the commercial ones, which is intellectual property.
Is your elective one run differently to your core units?
Yeah.
Is it one of these sort of intensive mode units?
Yeah. So it was a week intensive, 4 days, not 5. So basically, which was interesting doing it over Zoom as well. So it was 9 to 4:30 for 4 days. And at first, when I thought about that, doing that over Zoom, I was like, oh no, like I cannot sit there for 8 hours. But it actually ended up working out pretty well. There's lots of breaks and stuff throughout the day. So yeah, it was good to, especially with the 2 cores that I'm doing, being able to have do an elective and just like sort of get it out of the way. So since it was intensive, 4 days of class, and now I'm just focused on the assignment, and then there's a take-home exam in a few weeks as well.
So, Anne, can I ask you a question about intensive units? I presume some of the units that you teach are intensive. So is that like a week? Is it run over a week sort of thing?
Alice, they vary. So Simran said she did one over 4 days. I've taught them over 5 days, and they can be 5 days in the week itself, but more likely they would be, say, a Thursday, Friday, and then a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Or we did the last unit. I'm actually an intellectual property lawyer, and the unit that I taught last year was over 2 weeks, and with days spread out. So we'd have Thursday, Friday, Thursday, Friday. And that's a little bit less pressured than what Simran's just said she did, was 4 days, presumably in a row, or did it have a weekend between it?
No, just Wednesday off. So it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
That's fairly intensive, but we offer many options. So we have that super intensive, which will suit a student at a particular stage. And there are others which are along the lines that I've described. Then we have semi-intensive units that might be taught over 3 or 4 weeks. And then we'll have semester long ones, so that there's a lot of variety. And there's also variety as to when they're taught during the daytime, or we have units that are available for in the evening as well.
But obviously the assessment is not due at the end of that week. Students get time to then submit their, whether it's an exam or whatever, an essay, they get time to do it. It's not like you have to do it in those 5 days.
Yeah, exactly. So like I took the course in week 2, and my take-home exam is due, I think, week 7 or 8, and then the assignment is due in week 10. So yeah, it's also nice to, when you're doing sort of to lighten the load, I guess, in a way of not doing 3 cores is what I sort of chose to do. I'm doing 2 cores and an elective. That way, when it comes to exam time, I'm only studying for 2 sit-down exams rather than 3.
Okay, great. I'm just looking at some of the questions that are coming through, and one of the questions here is somebody who may not necessarily want to go on and practice law after doing the JD, but is still interested in doing a JD, which absolutely you can do. And not all students get to the end of their JD and go, I want to practice. A lot of them don't necessarily practice. But we do have a Master of Legal Studies as well, which this student might be interested in, which is for non-law graduates who potentially want to enhance their policy career, like you've suggested, rather than necessarily doing a degree that qualifies you to practice law.
Another option, of course, is just the Master of Laws or a master's degree, other master's degree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever the area of policy is, we would have, I would recommend that this person have a look at our list of elective units in the master's degrees and just see whether that might be a better option. But many people would study a JD or our undergraduate LLB and never practice. The wonderful thing about law is that it provides you with a foundation for really pursuing any area. Obviously not the scientific areas unless you have that sort of qualification already, but it provides a wonderful foundation for you to head off into many areas, and policy, government policy, anything in that area is, foundation of law is brilliant.
There was another question. Oh, here's a question. You can answer this one, Simran. How many units would a full-time student do per trimester?
You're gonna make me do math.
How many units should you do?
So I guess in your second year is probably the year that you do the most. And you do 3 units per trimester. So 3 times 3, 9 in a year.
in your first trimester, you only do 2 units. Your
Yeah,
first
so
2 trimesters, you only do 2 units. So we can ease you in a little bit.
yeah, and like
And
even
after that, you start doing the 3.
yeah, and like even that first trimester, like you really get eased into it. You do one course, it finishes, then you start the next one. So you're not, I guess, especially, I guess for people doing a JD, like a lot of students, you know, they've taken time off or they're coming from different backgrounds. So I guess that's, it's pretty good because for me as well, like I took 3 years off before I decided to do the JD. So getting back into it was, I guess, easier because yeah, you just do one course, it finishes, then you start the next one. And then in your second trimester, you'll do 2 courses concurrently.
So obviously study is a little bit different at the minute, thanks to COVID-19. How have you found going online? I can imagine it's a challenge because it's very different than you used to.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I thought when it was the talk of everything going online, I thought it was going to be like 3 hours, you know, for one lecture online. But the way it's been broken down is you have recordings for like probably an hour and a half. And then once your scheduled class time, it's a Zoom meeting for about an hour and a half where it's mostly like focusing on discussion questions and like any questions that people had from the recording. So I guess that's been pretty good. And also having the recordings has been nice because you can really like stop, listen, write it down. And
you can also listen to it when it suits you.
Exactly. You don't have to do it on Wednesday at 9 a.m.
And I guess the other benefit, like you said, is that you're still getting those face-to-face contact, you know,
yeah.
your classmates, and you're still learning from your peers as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can ask any questions that you have. And I guess, yeah, the interaction as well is good. But yeah, the transition online was, I guess, this trimester was okay because at the end of the trimester, we had to do it a little bit. So by the time this next trimester came around, it was like, oh, okay, this is easy. I've already done this.
Sure. All right. What is the best aspect so far? Because you're not finished yet.
Yeah.
What's the best aspect so far of the Monash JD?
I guess the small class sizes. I know that when I did my undergrad, it was, you know, hundreds of students in a room, or like even, I don't know, 50 students in a room. Like I feel like the biggest class that I've had maybe is like 30, and that was just in first year. So it's a little bit easier to, you know, like speak up during discussions and things like that, and also just being able to make friends. Much easier when it was a small group of people.
I think, can I add in there that I think it gives you, because you can make friends, you can also have study groups.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I would.
And you've obviously found some really good friends, Simran.
Yeah, so I've moved in with them. So
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the study group is a big thing because I know that in my undergrad I didn't do a lot of that, but here I've definitely I started doing that, you know, right off the bat, having study groups, and it's helped a lot.
And even though we're teaching online, and I must admit I've been recording lectures today myself, we have the opportunity to be able to help students form study groups even though they're not physically in the same room and physically meeting people. We can make opportunities for that.
One of the things I was going to say is we often talk about how great our chambers are in Lonsdale Street in terms of a location. Simran, how have you found studying at the chambers?
Yeah, well, location is perfect. You know, right in the middle of the city, and like, you know, tons of trams, the train and everything. And it's also kind of cool just being like in our own little bubble. There's nobody else on that floor but us. And yeah, I guess like I just have to say one thing maybe is just like not having a library, I guess, right? Being able to like study in a library, I guess that's just like one downside to consider. But then there's like, I don't know, you can just go to one of the other libraries within the city to study.
there is this service where you can actually order books and get books sent to the node at Chambers, and that comes from the Clayton Library generally. But yeah, being in the city's definitely got its advantages.
Yeah.
And most of our materials that we want our students to read are available online because we have massive databases. The online collection is fabulous.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I haven't bought a textbook in a while because every single textbook has been online. So, yeah.
Simran, what has the Monash JD taught you? This is a bit of a philosophical question.
I'm like,
about it for a minute. We can come back to this one.
How to do hundreds of pages of reading.
But you learn, right? It's a skill. You can skim read things now. You're
exactly.
reading every single word.
Yeah, and yeah, just like being able to get organized. Like when you have so much stuff to do, like there's no way you can't be organized anymore. Like you have to stay on top of your stuff, and it really forces you to do that as well.
Which is actually one of my other questions is, how have you been able to balance life with study?
Yeah. Well, so I guess one good feature is with the trimester and like not having as many courses is being able to work. So like I work, I guess, 20 hours a week. And for the most part, it's manageable. But yeah, it's really being organized, knowing that like this is, if I'm working 9 to 5, then I have to get 1, 2, 3, 4 done after I'm done work. But yeah, it's very manageable. And I know a lot of people go part-time as well. And then also classes being available in the evening, depending on like if you like studying at night or in the morning. So yeah, I guess the way the classes are scheduled, I guess, helps a little bit with getting organized as well, being able to sort of fit it around what works for you.
Yeah, one of the things I think is really great about our program is that students have the option, if they want to go from full-time to part-time. And potentially we also offer like intermission. So, we understand that life happens and sometimes, big events happen, people have babies, all sorts of things. You can actually apply for an intermission and then come back to study after you've done what you need to do. So that's another benefit of the program, I think. What surprised you about the Monash JD? I'm sorry, I'm pulling out the tricky ones here.
Yeah. I guess like maybe for me personally, I guess like how much, I don't know, maybe I enjoy it. Like I know with my undergrad, like it was sort of like, oh, I just got to like get this thing done. But I find that with this degree, like I'm actually really enjoying it. Like even though it's obviously very stressful at times with, the workload and assignments and things like that. But overall, like I've just really, really enjoyed it. And I didn't think I would be saying that in week 5 of the trimester.
Good on you. We've just got a question here, and I think both of you could address this one, but the question is, how are exams conducted? Are they in do you have to be in a physical location, or are they take-home exams, or is there a mix of both, or how do exams work? Or are there, I presume that some subjects probably don't even have an exam. Is that right?
Well, do you want me to, perhaps if I answer first?
Yeah, the official answer.
Go for it, Anne.
Well, if you're doing the core units, which are our priestly 11 units that are required by the by VLab, those ones all have an exam. Now, in non-COVID-19 days, those exams are supervised exams and they are sat at our chambers in the city. And so you're just in a room so it's not like a grab your call, but you're in a room with other students. At the moment, because of COVID-19, the exams, we cannot have people sitting in rooms together, so they are online exams. And for other units, for our master's units, again, many of those are take-home exams rather than supervised exams. In fact, I'm not aware of any of our master's units which require a supervised exam. So they would be I think Simran has mentioned that she's got a take-home exam coming up in her current unit that she's just done the face-to-face teaching in, or not the face-to-face, the online teaching in. So I think we have a mix. Our core units are normally supervised exams, and our elective units would be usually take-home exams, but not all elective units would in fact have an exam as a component of their assessment.
Yeah, I just did an elective last trimester and no exam. It was just a few different assignments.
We try, with the core units, which are the really key ones for if you're going to be practicing law, we have to comply with external requirements for us in how we manage our degree and how we assess our courses. And so those exams have to be supervised. But increasingly we're trying to offer more opportunities for different types of assessment, taking account of helping students obtain more practical skills as well as the theoretical knowledge that they require.
One of the questions that I actually get asked a lot from prospective students is about group work. I'm sure everyone in their undergraduate degree had some interesting experiences with group work. So Simran, have you found there's a lot of group work in the units that you've done so far?
So the elective that I was just saying that didn't have an exam, most of that was based on group work, and you were marked for a few assignments collectively as a group. And for other, I guess, core units that I've done, there have been assignments where you work with somebody else, but you're marked individually still. So it's not a collective group mark that you get.
And in the units that you teach, do you tend to have a group work component?
No, I don't, Alice. At the moment, I'm teaching one of the core units, which is advanced property law. And because I'm teaching online, it gives me the opportunity in Zoom sessions to have what we call breakout groups. And many of our attendees may be familiar with those already. And that is not for assessment though. That gives people the opportunity to work in a group of, say, 6 students on a problem. And so throughout the course, I'm now, week 5 are we, Simran? I will provide students with problems associated with the material that I've taught. And it gives students a chance to work together, to test their knowledge against each other. It also gives them an opportunity to get to know people in this online environment. And then, but that's not for assessment. All of the assessment is individually based. But so that gives an opportunity for group work for the benefits that flow from that. There are units, but they tend to be the elective units, which might have a group component. Generally, we would prefer to provide results for individuals, even if they're working in a group, but there might be exceptions where, for the benefit of the knowledge and the actual evaluation of the knowledge of the students in the course, assessing them as a group and getting a group mark may well be appropriate, but that is very carefully monitored by our Faculty Education Committee when we determine what assessment is appropriate for a unit.
So I'm going to ask about units. I don't think I've asked this already. I hope not. And I'll ask you. So you're an IP expert. Do you have a favourite unit to teach?
I do.
What is it?
It's called Protecting Commercial Innovation, Patents and Trade Secrets. So I love that.
Wow.
What I really like is the intersection between science, technology and the law. And so that unit introduces students, or not introduce, well, it introduces and expects a reasonably high standard of the law of patents. And it also talks about the law of trade secrets, which is protecting secret commercial information and the relationship between those two areas of intellectual property law. When I taught in Prato, I developed a unit which looked at international issues in patent law. And there I looked at the subject matter that can be protected by a patent for an invention across a number of jurisdictions, including Canada. So we looked at the United States, Canada, England, the European Union and Australia. So Alice, that's what I love to teach, anything to do with science, technology, law interface. But I also thoroughly enjoy teaching my advanced property course.
Good. So Simran, when you came into the JD, did you have like an idea of what sort of law you thought you'd be interested in? And if so, are you still interested in that area, or have you discovered that there's another area that's your sort of thing?
I think going in, was interested in commercial law, and I'm still, I think, down that road. But yeah, I was just thinking if there's any like courses that have sort of surprised me on like, wow, that could be interesting. Maybe like, yeah, admin law I found. I know when I was thinking about, oh my God, I got to do admin law. But taking it, I was actually quite surprised at, wow, this is actually kind of cool. This is interesting.
Right.
So I guess I'm still down the commercial law path.
Okay, awesome. Just a couple of questions that are coming in. Somebody's asked, is there ever an open day at Law Chambers? We do run, when there's no COVID, obviously, we do run information sessions at Chambers, which you're more than welcome to come along to, hear from students, have a look at the building. So yeah, we do run info sessions. And another question someone asked, basically, is a law degree, well, a law degree is demanding. Is it possible to still have a full-time job? Obviously, this is going to depend on you as a student, and we can't give that sort of advice, but we do have students who do work full-time and do study part-time, because I believe for all our core units, we offer a stream in the evenings. For those students who may be working during the day. And also when you're talking about some of our elective units, when they're running intensive mode, I know a lot of students prefer those because they can actually, their work might give them the week off, or they take a week of annual leave. And that's obviously apart from the assessment, but that's one unit done then. So yeah, it is possible to work full-time and study part-time.
Alice, could I just say, I think the question also was thinking, or the questioner was thinking about full-time study, full-time work, and I don't think that would be possible.
That would be very, very difficult. No one's going to say that a law degree is easy. It's absolutely, it can be demanding, and it requires a lot of input if you want to do well.
Most definitely.
Jump in on that one at all? Okay, Simran, where do you see your degree taking you? And is it back home, or is it going to be in Australia, or you don't know?
At this point, no, not back home. I think. Yeah. Sorry, I think my internet's really bad. So I think at this point I'm going to practice in Australia. Okay. At this point, my plan is to do the PLT and actually stay in Australia for a bit at least, start to practice here, and then maybe at some point I'll consider going back to Canada. And I guess like something also like clerkships and all that stuff, I guess is coming up, and I haven't decided exactly where I'm going to go with those things. But I'm actually hoping to do the professional practice elective either next try or in try 1 of 2021. So hoping maybe when I do one of those electives, I'll see, I don't know, which areas I'm a little bit more interested in, or yeah.
Awesome.
Alice, there was a question a little way back, and I'm not sure whether you want to comment on this or not. Rita asked, the up and coming LSAT in June is now an online LSAT flex format. Will that score still be valid for entry to Monash? Should we answer that or refer her to the faculty?
I will provide my email address, and I will also get other people's email addresses, and I will need to speak to the admissions coordinator and get back to that person on that one. So yeah, admissions is not my 100% expertise. So I will ask the expert and get back to you on that. Another question is, you're talking about clerkships and things like that. So where, you've obviously got friends, Simran, who've maybe finished already. Do you know what sort of jobs that some of them have gone into?
I guess like all sorts. Like somebody works with the Law Institute. Somebody else is oh my God, what does she do now? I can't even remember. Personal injury, like all sorts of areas that people have gone into. Yeah, I guess it's not even like I can probably think of an area of law and like somebody is in there.
And do you have any comments on where some of our graduates go?
Oh, look, they go everywhere, Alice. I mean, just
Yeah.
having a look at that list of alumni, you'll see a whole range of things. People going to business, they go into politics, they go into government advisory positions. Excuse me, they practice both as solicitors or barristers. There are people that we teach who are already running businesses, and they come and do a law degree to enhance the skills that they have already in running a business. Many students are very interested in human rights, global issues. Some of them go into not-for-profit organisations and work with them. A number of people go overseas, so unfortunately, of course, at the moment, that's not so possible. But as I said earlier, this will not last forever, and there are many opportunities for our graduates because the degree is so highly valued. So really, I think that if you have a law degree, to some extent, the world is your oyster because it does provide you with so many skills that can be transferred into whichever area you're interested in pursuing. I mean, there are people who, we have had doctors who will take a law degree because they're particularly interested in medico-legal issues and might end up working in a more medical area rather than a legal area, but applying the skills in their existing work.
Absolutely. Another question that I get asked a lot is what sort of degrees do people come from to do a JD? And the answer is so broad. I mean, you get people from an arts degree, you've got people who've done PhDs that come and do a JD. Simran, what did you say your undergrad degree was in?
Yeah, it was sociology. So I guess arts, is a pretty common background for people, but I know people that I'm studying, they did like Bachelor of Science and things like that. So, and nurses, so quite diverse.
It's anything, absolutely anything.
And that's actually another, I think, as a teacher, I think that's a huge advantage for students because each student in the class offers their own existing expertise and knowledge to all of the others and enhances the learning opportunities for not only themselves but all of the other students. And also it helps the teachers because we learn from you.
Absolutely. I think I've got one more question that I'd like to ask. What advice, Simran, do you have for someone who's embarking on a JD?
Do it. I guess, I don't know, it's been such a positive experience so far. And like, if you're thinking about it, I would just say do it. Like the options once you get the degree are like endless. So you're not really cutting yourself off from being able to like, pursue different things once you're done.
Absolutely. And do you have advice for any of these prospective students?
I suppose my advice would be make sure that you really want to do this because, as Simran has said, this is a degree that does require quite a lot of application. It's hard work, but it's enjoyable. If you like the area, if you find you really like it, it's thoroughly enjoyable. I have had a long career in law, both as a practicing solicitor and as an academic, and I still love it. I never get bored with it. So just be careful to make sure, yes, this is something that really does interest you, and then go for it because it will offer you many opportunities, I have no doubt, in whatever you choose to do after you complete the degree.
That's really nice. I think that brings me to the end of my questions for you guys. So I'd like to thank Anne and I'd like to thank Simran for giving up their time, both very busy people. For everybody that's attended today, my email address is here if you would like to contact me, but also I'll get all of your contact details so I will be in touch in the near future. Thanks again to my panel, and I wish all of you the very best in your future studies, whatever they may be, and hopefully we see you at Monash. Thanks everyone.